I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first item that we have on our agenda for tonight is our town administrator report from Mr. Markle.
Okay, I'll just go through this quickly. Some of these items are on our agenda for tonight. I did the reference checking and so forth for the sale of 252 Baldwinville Road. Next step is purchase and sale, which will be mailed out after being reviewed by town council. One question is whether we would like to get the full payment in the door before June 30th or after. Talked with the accountant today. If it doesn't come in before the new fiscal year, we could recognize it on the tax recap sheet and would be available. On the other hand, if it comes in the door prior to the beginning of the new fiscal year, it becomes the base of the town's free cash for the next year. I don't think it makes a lot of difference, but we did have an initial discussion about that today. Winchendon is very much interested in the cooperative arrangement that the chief of police put together for us. We've been trading phone calls back and forth. I haven't connected yet with them, but I've called them twice, they've called me twice. Given that we've cut the budget there, I'm not sure what we can do, but I'm going to talk with them to see if some kind of arrangement can be made, especially since we have a van that might be thrown into the mix or the process here as part of an arrangement with Town of Winchendon for animal control regionally. The sale of foreclosed properties on your agenda. Our tax title custodian, Holly, is here, and she can explain how that went for you. The good news is we're collecting $100,000 a day now in taxes, so that our cash flow problem will not be a problem for us as we come towards the end of the year. I have begun talks regarding a switch to bi-weekly pay. Obviously have to clear that with the bargaining units, talk with employees about it, but there's a significant savings, cost savings as well as time savings if we can carry that out. Now is the time to do it if we're going to do it, because so many of our employees are on layoff and are coming back on July the 1st. When they come back on July the 1st, they will all have a week of unemployment comp. So they'll be getting a paycheck 1 week after they return to work because of the way the unemployment system works. And so if we could implement something like this and get general agreement to do it, not only is it an important step to save the town money, but the burden on employees that prevents many communities from doing this, in other words, forcing an employee to go 2 weeks without a paycheck, goes away because they're going to get that paycheck in that first week in July. So if we're going to do it, now's the time to do it. And again, if we're looking to save money over time, this makes sense. End of year transfers, we will have a list of the so-called end of the year transfers for the Board of Selectmen on June 23rd, and will be on the agenda for the Templeton Advisory Board on June 25th. Any transfers among departments, among budgets, are authorized by state statute at this time of year, but they have to be approved jointly by the Board of Selectmen and the Advisory Board. I did sign a contract for the roof replacement at ET Elementary. That was the appropriation made at town meeting, $127,900. The work will be completed by July the 31st, under the terms of the contract. And I've interviewed 3 candidates for chief of police and ready to make a recommendation.
Thank you very much. There are seats down here. There's 4 seats down here if anybody would like to take one. The next item that we have on the agenda is to approve the minutes. Is it just one day? I believe so. The minutes from May 27th, 2014. So after you've reviewed them, I'd be happy to take a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from May 27, 2014.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, we'll vote. Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
And I will vote yes as well. Trying to pick an item now. The next item that we have on our agenda is the
We have
public.
another set of minutes.
Oh!
Minutes of May 19th.
Oh, I'm back, gotcha, okay. The minutes of Monday, May 19th, I'll accept a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
And I will vote yes. So we do have a public hearing that's scheduled for 6:45, so we won't want to hold that until 6:45. So we can pick another item off of the agenda that would make sense that we could probably get handled now. Oh, yeah. Yeah. We can do our appointments that are on the agenda. They are for George Andrews to the Conservation Committee, 3-year appointment. Larry Brandt to the American Disability Coordinator, Arch Access Board, 3-year appointment. Architectural Access Board appointment. Larry Brandt, Building Inspector, 3-year term. Marcia Breen, Cable TV Advisory Committee, 1 year. And Robert Hackenford, Cable TV Advisory Committee for 1-year appointment. Do I have a motion regarding those?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
And I will vote yes. Excuse me. Holly, would you like to give your report on the tax title property auction at this time?
Sure.
Thanks.
I just wanted to give an update, because people had questions last time. I posted the notice in the Gardner News on May 14th. I mailed via certified mail to all the prior owners, notified them. Mailed to the property abutters, posted on the town website and posted at the town offices more than 14 days before the auction. I'm not loud enough. The bidders pre-registered with their certified bank check and the minimum amount of $2,500 in hand before the auction. It began at 10 o'clock in the conference room. I read the auction rules aloud, and I had Will Spring there as a witness too. 3 of the 4 properties received bids. Turner Lane sold for $2,500 to Albert and Beverly Colella. Hill Factory Road sold for $3,500 to Steve and Sangsoon Castle. 17 River Road sold for $2,500 to Joseph Parker. And 335 Main Street didn't sell, and that'll be in the next auction that we do hopefully in the fall. One of those has already closed already, and the other 2, we're just waiting for the closing to actually happen. Made a total of $8,500 from all 3 properties.
Thank you very much, Holly. The next item that we have on the agenda is action on a vacation rollover request. We received a letter from Carolee Eaton, the town tax collector, dated, excuse me, June 9th. That reads, "Dear members, due to the budget cuts and the ensuing layoffs the departments faced at the end of fiscal year 2014, I am requesting my balance of 114 hours of vacation time be carried over to fiscal 2015. I will use this time by September 1st, 2014. Thank you in advance for your consideration. Regards, Carolee Eaton." We've had similar requests from other town employees to roll over that vacation time, because as most of our departments only have 1 person in them now, if they take vacation, the whole department closes. And I do appreciate Carolee's offer to not use that vacation time now, because clearly we need someone collecting taxes, because as the town administrator said, $100,000 a day in taxes coming in, so we definitely need someone to collect those. So do I have a motion regarding her request?
I make a motion that we allow the vacation to be forwarded to FY15.
Do I have a second? Second. Any discussion? If not, Julie,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
and I will vote yes as well. The next item on this list is action on MART Advisory Board appointee and MRPC alternate. I don't, Bob, if you'd like to maybe mention kind of what the appointee does, or the role of the board, or Holly, or...
Yeah, I got stuff in the mail for
Okay.
this. These are both things that I think they had Jeff Ritter on for last year. So it's generally town administrator, but it can also be someone else that the board decides to appoint. So I just thought I would bring it to see if you guys wanted to appoint, pass the letters down for you. You know, if Bob wanted something else to do.
If he wasn't busy enough. Do I have a motion regarding a potential nominee, or does anyone have any thoughts? Or does anyone want to volunteer? Does anyone want to volunteer Bob?
I think it's appropriate for the town administrator to serve on those.
Okay, we do, okay. Do I have a motion to appoint Bob to the,
I make a motion to appoint the town administrator to the MRPC.
do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, Julie,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
and I will vote yes as well. I think we can still get in, the action on accommodation plan for the architectural access bid. This has to do with the accommodation plan for, as many of you know, in order to comply with the Americans with Disabilities Act, when you make renovations on a building and you're gonna use it as a town office, you have to make it compliant with the Americans with Disabilities Act, which in this case, for this building, would mean either installing a ramp or an elevator. The ramp was the chosen option, as it's obviously a heck of a lot cheaper to put in a ramp than an elevator. We did have the issue with, we would not be able to get the ramp completed in time. We have now accepted a bid, correct? Is that,
No,
no, okay.
no, shortly. Yeah, so the two stipulations, we did get the waiver, so we are able to move in, even though we don't have the accessibility items. The two items are a entry ramp and an accessible restroom on the main aisles. So the conditions of the waiver are that we complete those two things, the ramp by September 1st and the restroom by December 1st. And in the meantime, the condition is that we cannot hold public meetings in the building. So in the interim, until we have the ramp and the restroom, we will have to find alternate locations. The Royers have said we could use Camelot if they don't have a function going on. I believe with notice we could get the Kiva, even though it's during summer hours. So that's the plan for public meetings. And then the other stipulation is that if someone with a disability does need to conduct town business, we have to do that at a location with accessibility, which is Scout Hall across the street. So whomever they needed to do business with would go over to Scout Hall so the person could have access and take care of the business there. So that's the plan.
Great, thank you very much, and thank you for your work on that. I believe our request was originally rejected, but then they heard that we were gonna come to the hearing to appeal, and they said, oh, never mind, just, here you go, here's your accommodation things.
Then they told me that you can't speak if you come to the hearing.
So they gave it to us anyway, so that's good. So, well, I believe that it is now time for the hearing. We do have a seat down here if anybody would like to come in to be able to obviously participate in the hearing. I have a letter in here. I would accept a motion to open up the public hearing regarding changing Memorial Street to one-way.
To make a motion to open the public hearing?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Probably a good idea to vote.
Yeah, any discussion? If not, Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
And I will vote yes as well. So the public hearing into the changing of Memorial Street into a one-way street is hereby opened. As was posted at the Board of Selectmen's meeting on June 9th, 2014, the following vote was taken. It was voted in accordance with the provisions of Chapter 40, Section 22. The Town of Templeton Board of Selectmen hereby amends Article 4 of the town's traffic rules and orders by adding the following one-way street. The street is Memorial Street in Baldwinville. The direction will be west that it will go. And the intersection is from its intersection with Elm Street to intersection with Summer Street. That was voted on June 9th, and we voted to have a public hearing to be able to discuss the matter. At that meeting, the police chief, who is obviously here now as well and can speak on the matter if he so chooses, and the fire chief both commented in support of changing it to a one-way street, as was requested by the citizens that had asked for that item to be on the agenda. Is there anyone here that would like to speak on the issue of making this change to Memorial Street? Police Chief Whitaker, if you'd like to.
As you said, we discussed it at a meeting ahead of time. Prior to that, myself and the fire chief had discussed it and thought it was a good idea. In lieu of the short notice and the quick change, we actually took that public hearing notice and I had my officers hand deliver it to everyone on Memorial Street, Summer Street, and Pleasant Street going out to Elm Street again, so that you going around. And on that notice, they said they could contact us with comment if they wanted or come to the hearing. I did hear from one person today, a business owner, on the corner of Memorial Street, and I'm not sure whether it's pro or con, but it will get you a little bit of parking spaces. So what would happen is a parking as you're going west on Memorial Street or up Memorial Street, the one way was going to be on the left-hand side. I think I told you I was on the right, actually.
You did.
So, and I didn't hear from anyone,
Okay.
other than whoever might be here tonight to attend the hearing.
Great.
So I would be in support of it.
Thank you very much.
Questions?
Oh, thank you. Would anybody else like to speak on the topic? Yes, Mr. Humphrey.
Rob Hubbard, 172 Main Street, Otter River. On behalf of the Memorial Congregational Church, we're very concerned about losing parking spaces, and the design that's been put forward and has actually been implemented puts sidewalks on both sides of the street down close to Elm Street in order to comply with ADA. It wasn't anybody's desire to eliminate the parking spaces, it's just in order to comply with ADA. But the result of that is that we're going to lose a significant number of parking spaces. So as the business during the week will have a problem, the church on the weekend will have a problem. That's also a fairly dangerous intersection, exiting into traffic which turns in 2 or 3 different directions. I'm not sure there's ever been an accident there, but sometimes when I come out there I sort of hold my breath for a second to make sure nobody's coming down the hill too fast. So I hope the board will give this the due consideration. It is critical to the continued operation of the church, and the last thing we need is another Dunkin' Donuts in downtown Baldwin.
Yes.
If this is about Memorial Street,
Yes.
I would not like it to be a one-way street all the time, because we would have to go so far around the block every single time we come in, because we live like beside the church, and the people on that end have been talking and saying they didn't want it one way, but they had said something about maybe we could make it one way on Sunday mornings or something for the church, or part of the time. I don't know how that would work, but I mean, they were we're trying to come up with some ideas how it would be. The other thing is, right now, people a lot of times go down that street very fast, and maybe it would just make traffic slow down. We did try an experiment one night with a neighbor where we had 2 cars parked on the road and a SUV, and my car, which is a small Subaru, went through and there was no problem. So, I don't know, that's all I wanted to say about it, but
Well, thank you very much.
thank you.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Will they be parking on both sides of the street or one side?
Just one side.
If you park on one side, as previous speaker mentioned, there were 2 cars parked, and the third vehicle was able to go between them, which would suggest if you were parked on one side of the street, 2 cars could pass without having to make it a one-way.
Okay.
So if the reason that they want to make it a one-way is because of safety or impassability or non-functioning church, I don't see that as being the case unless someone can explain further to me.
Sure. Chief Larry?
I think it's one thing to get 3 standard-sized motor vehicles through there. It's another thing to get emergency apparatus through, fire, EMS, and highway department through, if you've got double parking. The street's only 22 feet wide.
Thank you. Yes.
I'm not suggesting that there be double parking. I'm saying that if you have parking on one side of the street, if it's not a one-way, if it's, you can travel both directions, and there's parking on one side of the street, there's still opportunity for 2 vehicles to travel on that road in opposite directions. That's what I'm saying.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Warner Pogel at 39 Orchard Lane. I'm opposed to the transfer of Memorial Street to a one-way street. And the reason is out of fundamental fairness. We have in our town already a street that's been transferred to a one-way street without any due process, and that's Orchard Lane. A lot of cars go up the street, they go into no man's land, they're never heard from again because of the condition of the street. As you know, a citizen is going to speak on that later. So we shouldn't be spending any money on making the street a one-way street for the convenience of some citizens when we have any roads, and I'm sure there are others like Orchard Lane in this town, that are in such state of disrepair. One of the chief's officers lives on Orchard Lane, 2 doors up from me. What happens when the road is in such disrepair that he travels down the road, his vehicle is disabled, and he can't make an emergency call if someone loses their life because of that situation?
Well, that would probably be best to be discussed, because that is on the agenda. Orchard Lane is on the agenda after that. So that particular issue will
And just
be
one
discussed
follow-up
then,
question,
sure.
how much is this going to cost?
Nothing.
No, Chief.
I think what you're missing, Warner, it's part of a grant that's already under construction. It's free. It's already the road is being totally reconstructed with new sidewalks. And because of the new sidewalks, it's narrowed the street now.
Technically, you did pay for it with your federal taxes, but,
Yeah,
but
it's not
the town is.
Amen to that, sir.
Yeah, yeah,
Thank you.
sure. Yes, sir.
I would suggest there's an added cost to some residents, particularly the ones closest to the church, in that they have to travel the furthest to get out of the, off the street, to get, to leave. And while it might be minimal, it is an added cost. So there's a cost to be borne.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any? Yes, sir.
I live on Memorial Street myself, on the corner of Memorial and Summer, and with this being a one-way road, when they did Summer Street over in the last phase of this project, that road in front of my house got narrower also, which is fine. And if this is a one-way road, I would suggest that there be a stop sign at that intersection of Summer and Memorial, because I would invite anyone, the chief probably knows this too, when if you come to that corner and take a right, because of the land to your right, you cannot see around that corner. So if all the traffic is going in that direction and it's being narrower, if there's a car waiting to turn right to go up to the end of the one-way, and say there's a child or something on that side, it's going to be a little bit dangerous. I mean, it's been dangerous forever, and luckily nothing's ever happened there. I don't think the one-way is going to make it any more dangerous than it already is, but if we're doing, upgrading things there, there should be a stop sign there. Probably on the end of Summer Street also, to keep those cars to the right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the only way it would make it more dangerous is there'd be more traffic going in that direction. Also, has there been consideration to the additional traffic near Dunkin' Donuts on Pleasant Street? I know there was a proposal to have a drive-through and they did not allow the town, or somebody didn't allow the drive-through because of traffic issues. So my question would be, has there been consideration given to the additional traffic that will be in the area of Dunkin' Donuts on Pleasant Street?
Yes, sir.
I'll address two. Are you talking about Summer and Pleasant? There's a four-way stop already. You want it on Summer or
Summer to
Memorial?
Memorial,
Okay,
yes,
we
the
can
other
certainly add a stop sign again. I was a little confused there. In regards to the Dunkin' Donuts traffic, when we set that traffic pattern up with the planning board, we had all the traffic exit onto Pleasant Street and go out. And now that we've seen, well, in my opinion, now I've talked to the chairman of the planning board about this, and they have an inlet off of Route 202, which we have do not exit on. However, when you really look at the exiting from Pleasant Street or as opposed to there, where they would exit, they have a better view between themselves and the bank than they do from Memorial Street because some of their flags and there's a little bit of curvature in the road. So I'm going to suggest that we go to the planning board, and I'm going to do that myself, and have them take that down so they can exit right back out there. And that will alleviate a little bit of the traffic on Pleasant Street, but the traffic volume for that Dunkin' Donuts, I mean, I go in every morning. My coffee's ready when I walk in. It's very minimal. So I don't think the impact is that high. And the impact for traffic off of, onto Summer Street, the only day they're gonna see an influx is when church lets out. The traffic is just gonna be a residential traffic issue. That road is not a through street, really, it's used by the residents.
Great, thank you. Yes, sir.
As much as I like the chief, he made a statement about it's free because it's a federal grant, and while we know it's not free because we pay the taxes, I would give you an example of some benefactor who came to town that wasn't a federal grant that said, I'm going to fix 50 streets and they're going to be lined with gold and I'm going to pay for it, but I only want you to do the streets that my friends live on. Would we think that is morally right? I would say that it's right to do this street if it's on your list of priorities and it just so happens that we can do it at this time because it's paid for by a grant. But if it's not on your list of priorities and there are other streets that have a higher priority, I don't think it's morally right to do this road.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes.
Tina Martin, I am the business owner. Just even in my business, watching the traffic patterns, I am for making Memorial Street a one-way, provided it's still has the parking. I was told there was going to be no parking, which would absolutely cripple myself and the church. There's no convenient parking anywhere, or at least for my business. But people coming out of Memorial Street right now, if you're coming down from Dunkin' Donuts, you're coming down a hill, sort of around a corner. You've got this street coming up here, you've got Memorial Street, you've got people in the crosswalk. I have elderly people parking over here trying to cross. I have not yet seen one single car stop for anybody in the crosswalk. I, on a daily basis, almost been hit. And now you've got somebody coming out of Memorial Street, and it just adds to the mix. And I sympathize with anybody on the closer end of the church. Absolutely, it is an inconvenience because I've done that loop, but it's a much safer exit pattern by Dunkin' Donuts. The visibility's clearer, you don't have crosswalks involved. Fundamentally, I think it's a better option.
Yes, sir.
There's nothing preventing those people that chose to exit Pleasant Street instead of Memorial Street. They could choose to do that without having the street a one-way. Also, would consideration be given to, if you must make it a one-way, would consideration be given to making it a one-way only a portion of the time, not all the time? Perhaps during business hours, perhaps only on Sundays, during certain church functions, or maybe make it, put a temporary sign out there one-way during church functions?
There are people who still come to a full stop at the Triangle on Elm Street.
Yeah, they do.
They still do that because that's where the old stop sign used to be. Because people do that because that's what they were used to doing. We have to be consistent. It's either got to be all or nothing. I think it'd be very dangerous to have it one way for, 7 to noon on Sundays and then changing around for other parts of the week. It would be very confusing for people, and I think it would be more dangerous.
Anything else from anyone? Yes, sir.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Would you consider tabling this situation and decision on the street until the town administrator has had an opportunity to review a priority list of streets in the town? And if this street falls on the top of his priority list, and then you concur that you go ahead with it or not go ahead with it, but at least do so or not do so based on that priority list.
Well, the priority list is a separate issue. That grant is for the explicit purpose of fixing roads that need repair. And I don't know, the argument here isn't that the road needs repaired, it's that, which I'm sure it does, because all our roads do.
It's
Done.
Oh, it's already done, it's already done, okay.
Oh, it's absolutely,
Yeah.
it's part of the Back Bay project.
Right, so
It's a
we
wrap-up
couldn't
of
use,
that.
right, so even if this was going to cost money, we can't
It's
use,
a
So
CDBG
if it's already
grant.
done, Mr. Chairman?
right.
Doesn't one beg to say, why was it not made a one-way street when the project was put together? And isn't it somewhat short-sighted to do it now? And isn't it somewhat a slap in the face to citizens to change it now after all that money was spent? And now you're gonna spend another grant and more taxpayers' money to go change it again?
Well, right, as we said, we're not using another grant to change it. This grant is the same grant that is fixing the road in the first place.
But you could use that money for other things if you chose.
No,
we can't.
it's a grant that plans have been drawn and
But
approved.
you
and-
could send the money back to the federal government from us taxpayers. right?
Not likely to happen.
Something tells me it won't trickle down to you. That's what I mean, it won't.
But it'll trickle down to someone.
It
Yes,
sounds like this gentleman doesn't understand that the project is not complete, but it's underway, and the majority of the physical part of the project is done. But before they finish the project, they want to decide whether to make it a one-way or not. That's the,
we would, right, because we would want to do that before the signage goes
Okay, so
up.
the project's not done.
it's not complete.
No, no.
Okay, all right, then someone else misinformed us, that's all.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, why don't you just, I see Gardner does it sometimes, try it out for 30 days, 60 days, try it out one way, then review it, and if it works, fine, if it don't work, fine. And then you're giving everybody a fair shot.
Is there anyone else would like to say?
Okay.
Yes.
Chief, you said the road's gonna be 22 feet and stuff?
Correct.
And what was it before we started doing the project?
Well, it didn't have sidewalks on, well, it had some sidewalks, and the other side didn't have sidewalks, so it depended on how far off the road you pulled your car, how much room there was to go through. So, probably 30 feet, maybe. It was never a wide street.
It wasn't.
And the Verizon trucks
Yes.
down
I
there.
lived on that street for 60 years. There, the sidewalk closest to the business at the end of Memorial Street, which is opposite the church, they excavated a banking that used to stick out closer to the road. The opposite side, there was also somewhat of a banking, the sidewalk is raised, and there was also probably, I would say, 3 feet, there were 3 steps that went up. So those 3 steps are no longer, they're not gonna be there, there's gonna be a stone wall. So my impression is, there's no more or no less room to pass between the 2 granite curbs than there existed prior to the project, in that location. As you go further down Memorial Street, it did open up, the banking was not there, and so you could kind of pull off the road back to the side. But for that area that is under discussion, I would say that there may even be more space to get through there.
Yes, sir.
And Dan's right, it does bottom down as it exits out. But the new issue now is the granite curbing. People can't cheat off the road a little bit to give us the road. They're not gonna jump on the granite curb to get off the road. Plus Verizon goes up and through there with their trucks on a daily basis.
That's right.
So having parking on both sides is gonna create a problem.
Yes, Mr.
I've met with, on site with the people who are doing the work and the engineer who's supervising it. I've looked at the plans. In the area where they're putting in 2 sidewalks, the traveled way is being reduced. I think it's about 2.5 feet, but something like that. Then once you get past that, as the chief said, because of granite curbing, although the amount of pavement hasn't been reduced that much, you have trouble pulling off because of the curbing. But clearly, right where the church is and right where the business is, there's going to be no parking at all, and the road is not wide enough to have more than 2 traveled lanes. If you have it one way, you can have 1 traveled lane and a place to park. But I know, I've seen the plan, and that's the facts.
Did you have your? Oh,
No,
oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
No, that's good.
As the previous speaker said, there were 2 cars parked, one on one side, one on the other. I do not propose parking on both sides. But as an example, as a test, we had a car parked on one side, a car parked on the other, and then vehicles were able to pass between them. So what I'm suggesting is, don't allow parking on both sides. Allow parking on one side of the street, doesn't matter what side you pick it. And that will still allow 2 vehicles to pass going in opposite directions. So I fail to see how there is some kind of a inconvenience by not making it a one way. I can't see how it's safer or less useful, or it does not make sense to me.
Mr. Chase.
I'd like to bring out a very important point. Right now, everybody's been talking about pretty much summertime driving on Memorial Street.
Oh, that's true.
When it's wintertime and there's snowbanks on either side, it's gonna get a little narrower. Maybe a lot narrower, depending on the snow and whether or not, you know, it's been cleaned off. So, it'll only get worse in the wintertime, never better. So I support, along with the 2 chiefs, that you make it a one-way. It is a little bit of an inconvenience, it's gonna be a little training thing to have people start using one way, you know, around down Memorial Street in summer and out Pleasant, but Templeton's not inventing this one-way wheel. It's used in communities and cities all over the place, and it works.
Mr. Administrator, would it be more appropriate to take a vote to close the hearing and then see if there's any motions regarding moving forward, or would it do that first?
Close the hearing first.
Yeah. Okay, at this time, seeing no other hands, I'll accept a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? If not, Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
And I will vote yes as well. So the public hearing is closed. Do I have a motion regarding the topic at hand, which is the turning of Memorial Street into one-way facing west from its intersection with Elm Street to its intersection with Summer Street?
I would make that motion with the caveat that we also put the stop sign at the corner of Summit and Memorial.
Is there any, do I have a second?
Can we, sorry.
I'll second it.
And we have Pine Terrace too. We're gonna have a stop sign in Pine Terrace too. Don't forget that, Pine Terrace is the end of Memorial Street.
Yep.
That's what you call Pine Terrace, come down on Summer Street. It's not all, Memorial Street goes up to the top. Pine Terrace plus Summer Street. We're gonna have 2 stop signs.
Was there any, so there was a second, is there any discussion?
Yeah. Sorry, somebody's talking about me.
Yeah, there's Pine
I
Terrace.
liked Shetty's idea. Can you do like a 60-day trial and just, do
I
we
mean,
even have
if you
to?
want to review it in 60 days, we can try it, and if
To
we
just
have any
see
traffic
and then-
incidents, accidents, I can come back and report to you. You could do a review if you want.
Okay,
I would give it
I
a
would
little
like-
more
I
than,
personally would like.
I would
to
say
do
like
that.
90 days.
90.
And we can bring it back for
Yeah.
rediscussion if we think we need to change it, we can.
Well, then maybe we would hear from more citizens and just about their like, dislike, work, doesn't work, are there
Right,
accidents,
well, as we've
are
had
there?
accidents, parking issues, parking
Yeah,
problems,
Well,
right.
I go up that way a lot, so.
Yes.
Just a note that we probably have to post that again, public hearing.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And it costs.
Oh, yeah.
And in regards to Mr. Casper's comment on Pine Terrace, there's really one house out there, there's no traffic volume.
How many houses on Pine Terrace? Count.
How many?
How many? 3,
Other than-
4.
But
Three at least.
what I'm
Well,
trying to
just
say,
saying. Well, I'm
okay,
just
is the
saying,
traffic
if
volume
somebody-
coming out is minimal.
No, but I say minimum, but I say somebody straight
Right.
buys at them, then they
Right.
don't know.
I just don't think it's necessary to put a stop sign.
Paint his old house, another one in the end, and
To me, signs sometimes get, it's pollution.
Yes, Ms. Martin.
During the trial period, they might want to try to get some emergency vehicles up, back and forth up there too, and make sure that the fire trucks can get through.
Will it be parking on one side or both sides, or?
One
In
side,
addition, and which side will it be?
the side the traffic is facing.
The left side going west, going up the road.
Left side?
Opposite.
This is your right.
The church side, right?
Church
Right
side.
side going up the road, yeah, excuse me. I don't know why I have that in my mind, I've said that twice already.
So the
Right
church
side
side,
going west,
okay.
opposite side of the church.
Opposite side.
Why would they go to the opposite side? The people?
Across the street.
That would bring us, if we waited for 90 days to do another hearing to see how it was working out, that would bring us to September.
And could I please limit, just because there's so many people here, can I just limit the side conversations unless you've been recognized by the chair, just because it's hard to focus, for me at least. But, okay, so 90 days, and I'm sorry, Julie, September you
That
said,
would be
right?
in September, probably our first meeting in September.
Okay. Okay, do I have, would you like to amend, would my motion makers like to amend their motions regarding the 90 days, or keep it as you originally made it?
Yeah, I'm fine doing 90 days, that's fine. Yeah.
And I'll
Did you
second,
say-
I
okay.
second it.
So we have an amended motion made by Doug, seconded by Julie, 90-day trial period. Any more discussion? Yes, sir.
I was just curious, when is this gonna start? Are we starting this tomorrow, or completion of the project, or as far as a 90-day review thing?
As soon as we can get
It has to
the,
do with signage, when we can
yeah,
get the
as soon as we can get a
signage up.
sign up to say we're fine.
And I'd have to talk to the project manager because they're gonna pay for the
Okay.
signs, so.
So we'll make
It's
it,
all part of the project.
I
I
was
would
just curious
say
when I went home
30.
tonight.
I would say for an effect, you're looking for, I would just go with July 1st.
Probably July
Effect-
1st, okay.
effective July 1st. We certainly can get the stop signs in,
Yeah.
and we'll see what I mentioned, it's not gonna take.
That's closer to 115 days.
right, because we'll actually need 90 for it to be in effect for, yeah. Okay, any other discussion? If not, Julie,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
And I will vote yes as well. So we will have another public hearing in 90 days from when the sign actually goes up. We'll assume July 1st to discuss to see if there's been any incidents or, sure, thank you. Okay, at this time, it was on the agenda, a possible executive session under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 21-2. If, under the law, the chairman finds that it's necessary to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel, or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel. I have made the finding that that legal situation does exist under Section 21-2, so I will accept a motion if one is made to move into executive session for the purpose of conducting strategy sessions, et cetera, et cetera.
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? John, okay. Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
And I will vote yes. So we will need to clear the room.
Are you gonna reopen it?
Yes, we'll reopen because we have plenty of fun to have after that. So we'll be back. We will try to be as quick and concise as we can be.
You never know.